Alright, in this video we're going to look at applications of quadratic equations. So let's start with these first three problems. It says write an algebraic expression for each of the following. It says one number is 5 times as large as another. If x is the smaller number, write the larger number in terms of x. So the other number is 5 times as large as this smaller number, so that would be 5 times x. So for example, if x were 10, then that would be the smaller number. The larger number would be 5 times that. 5 times 10 would be 50. So whatever x is, the larger number is 5 times bigger. That's how we would write the larger number, 5x. Number 2, it says W is the width of a rectangle. So let's go ahead and make a rectangle here. And we usually call the width the shorter side. It says the length is 50 feet longer than the width. So using W, if it's 50 feet longer, then the length would be the width plus 50. So W plus 50 is how we could label the length. Number 3, it says the length of a rectangle is 7 meters less than twice the width. So again, let's go ahead and start the same way. We're going to call the smaller side W, that's our width. And the length is 7 less than twice the width. Well, twice the width, we would write 2W. And if we want 7 less than that, we would subtract off 7. So the length here is 2W minus 7. All right, let's move on to the next problem. It says here, for the following problems, write an equation that fits the problem. Use the equation to solve the problem. So in other words, we're using an equation to solve a word problem. So this is a rectangle problem, so let's go ahead and draw a rectangle. It says the length of a rectangle is 4 meters more than the width. So this would be the width, the shorter side, and the length is 4 more than that. So we would write that as W plus 4. So if the width were 10, the length would be 4 more than that, be 14. So we don't know what the width is, but we do know the length is 4 more than the width. So we call the length W plus 4. Now, we know all the lengths here. So there's 2 widths on the right and the left, and then the lengths are both W plus 4. So perimeter, actually what we've done in the past was perimeter where we added the 4 sides. But notice here it's telling us the area is 60 square meters. Area is always square units. So we have a formula for the area of a rectangle. It's length times width. So here the length times the width is 60. So I'm going to go ahead and put the width first, times the length. So when we multiply these two, we get the area, which is 60. So we've got a little bit of work to solve this. Let's go ahead and distribute here. And then this is a quadratic equation because of that W squared. And so the next thing we want to do is get rid of that. Well, we want to get 0 on one side, so we're going to have to subtract 60 on both sides. So you get W squared plus 4W minus 60 is equal to 0. All right, so let's see. We need to find 2 numbers that multiply to negative 60 and add to 4. So let's look at some numbers that multiply to 60. We're going to have opposites. It's actually looking like it could be 6 and 10 here. Whoops. 2 times 30, 3 times 20, 4 times 15, 5 times 12, and for me, usually I think of the obvious ones first, 6 times 10, And actually, in that case, those are that's the two numbers that are going to work here. So we need opposites, and these need to add up to a positive, so let's make the smaller numbers negative. So you can see that negative 6 plus 10 is going to be 4, and negative 6 times 10 is negative 60. So those are the numbers we're going to use. So let me go ahead and over here, I'll split my b term. So this becomes w squared minus 6w plus 10w minus 60. Let's factor by grouping here. Let's see, we're going to need a 10 here, so plus 10. And so we end up with w minus 6 times w plus 10. So that's our factored form here. And once we have it in factored form, we just set each of our factors equal to 0. We're going to get 6. Notice if we set w plus 10 equal to 0, we're going to get negative 10. Of course, we could never have a width that's negative, so let's go ahead and throw that one out. So we're going to So you can see that the width is 6. So width is 6, and it looks like we're working with meters here. And the length, remember that was w plus 4, so basically 6 plus 4, and we're going to get 6 meters. And by the way, 6 times 10 is 60, and notice 10 is 4 more than 6, so that does work. So it's very easy to check these. Let's go ahead and look at the next one. It says a rectangular table is 6 times as long as it is wide. If the area is 24 square feet, then find its length and width. So if this is my width, the length is 6 times as long, so 6 times the width. So if the width were 10, the length would be 6 times 10, or 60. So whatever the width is, the length is 6 times as long as that. And so here we have w times 6w is going to equal 24, or 6w squared equals 24. So certainly this is quadratic, and so we're going to want to get 0 on one side, everything else on the other. So let's subtract 24 on both sides. So we're going to get 6w squared minus 24 is equal to 0. So if you look at that, certainly we can factor out a GCF, and that would be 6. So it's going to be 6 times w squared minus 4. So notice we've got a difference of squares here. We can write this as w minus 2 times w plus 2. So notice what we have here. This is 3 numbers multiplied that give you 0. Now multiplying by 6 doesn't cause us to equal 0, so really the 6 has nothing to do with our solution here. Either the w minus 2 or the w plus 2, one of those two has got to be 0 in order for this product to be 0. So again, the 6 doesn't really affect your solution here at all. You got w minus 2 equals 0, or w plus 2 equals 0. So you're going to get 2 and negative 2. And again, we can never have a length that's negative, so we'll throw that one out. And so our width is 2. And so 6 times 2, our length, whoops, hold on a sec, that should be a 2. That's going to be 12. So our width is 2 feet, and our length is 12 feet. And notice 2 times 12 is 24, and the length is 10, or I should say 6 times the width, 6 times 2. So that works. All right, let's move on to the last problem, number 6. Now, you may want to stop the video and try this on your own. It's a little bit different, but same process, and then watch the video. All right, so let's see. We've got a length that's 3 feet more than twice the width. So if we call our width W, let me clean this up just a little bit. There we go. So this is W, and the length is 3 feet more than twice the width. So twice the width, that would be 2W, and we want it to be 3 more than that. So you can see our length here is 3 more than twice the width plus 2 plus 3. So now we know length times width is equal to our area, which in this case is 90. So let's go ahead and distribute here. And again, this is quadratic, so our strategy is to get 0 on one side. So let's subtract 90 on both sides. All right, so we need to factor this. Let me go ahead and do that over here. So AC is kind of big here. It's going to be negative 180. So we need two numbers that multiply to negative 180 and add up to 3. So you're definitely going to want to spend a little time on your calculator to help you get all the factors here. The ones that work are 12 and 15. Again, these should have opposite signs because they multiply to negative 180. And they need to add to a positive number, so let's make the smaller one negative. So negative 12 and positive 15 are the numbers that work. So let's go ahead and split our b term. And factor by grouping. So we can factor out a 2w here times w minus 6. So here we're going to need a 15. Notice 15 times w is 15w. And 15 times a minus 6 does give you a minus 90. So you end up getting w minus 6 times 2w plus 15. So that's equal to 0. So now we're going to set each of our factors equal to 0. Here we're going to get 6. And I think on the other one we're going to get a negative because we're going to subtract 15 on both sides. We'll get 2w is negative 15. So the width is negative 15 over 2. And again, we know that our width can't be a negative number. So in this problem, the width is 6. And we can find our length by plugging in the 6 for the width. 12 plus 3 is 15. So our width is 6 feet. And our length is 15 feet. All right, and that's it for this video. And I'm going to go ahead and stop it.